Good evening and welcome to everyone present here and also to our online viewers, YouTube, Facebook and webcast. Very warm evening to all of you. And today, celebrating love. And our topic is self-love really selfish? Because there are many doubts that are wandering around it. So we have got a brilliant speaker, Pearl. I would invite Pearl on stage. And for you to know, Pearl is a performance specialist, coach and a motivational speaker who is known for bringing joy, energy and enthusiasm on any stage through her transformational rhythmic remedy technique, which is a multidisciplinary approach to personal and professional development. Pearl helps us to reconnect to our inner rhythm and embrace the dance of life. And she has been meditating for more than 15 years now, and all the spiritual practices she's been applying in all the areas of her personal and professional life. And I know Pearl personally, and she's been practicing self-love greatly this year, since the beginning of the year. And today she's here to share with us the secrets. Over to you, Pearl.
Thank you, Nidhi. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, great. So welcome to those of you who are joining me here live and to all of you who are online. And, you know, the subject of self-love, it's very interesting. So when I was approached to give this talk, on the outside, I may have seemed quite calm and, yes, I'm sure, yes, I can do that. But on the inside, I was howling with laughter. I was laughing so much. If you can imagine me rolling on the floor, holding onto my stomach, just laughing hysterically, thinking, what? Me, Pearl, being invited to speak on the subject of self-love. It was just like the funniest thing ever. And I must say that as we, continue to explore this over the course of this evening, hopefully it will make sense to you why I was laughing so much. And as you can hear, if I was to stay in that space, I would continue laughing right now. So I'm doing my best to keep it calm. Anyway, so thank you so much for being here. It's nice to be able to do a bit of face-to-face. And for all of you online, it's absolutely brilliant that we're here to explore the subject of self-love. Is self-love selfish? Is self-love selfish? That's a very interesting one. Yeah, going to look at that in great detail. And before we start, why don't you take a moment to just think through what brings you here today. What is it about this subject matter that's attracted you? You here in person or online? Self-love. And is self-love indeed selfish? So just take a moment. Is it that you are on the self-love journey? Is it a conscious decision to explore what self-love means? Is it that you feel miles away from the idea of self-love and just cannot relate to it in any way? What brings you here today? Just a few seconds. What is it about self-love that brings you here today? And I know what attracted me to speak on this subject and to say yes. Because I have been on quite a self-love journey, shall we say. Yeah, and I just thought the best way to make use of tonight is to take you on my personal journey, my personal story on self-love, Yeah, I thought it might be the best way. And so here it goes. I thought I was living a life in self-love, loving myself. Everything seemed fine. Oh, so happy and contented. And then one day, I was playing this board game, and you go around and you choose a lovely card, and I chose the rose quartz. I don't know if you know what the rose quartz is. It's the stone of love, the crystal. I have one here just for you. I hope you can see this. This is rose quartz crystal. It's the crystal of love. So I chose the rose quartz, and it said something around about love. And I thought, oh, this is really great. I'm in love. I'm in a loving relationship. Everything's honky-dory. Well, okay. And she said, yeah, but it's questioning your love. And I thought, how can it be questioning my... No, everything's good. I'm in a loving relationship. She said, okay, all right. So I put the card back. And about a year or so later, I played the game again. And guess what card I chose? Yes, you can imagine. Rose quartz once again. I thought, what? Enough already. What's with this rose quartz? I'm in a loving relationship. All's great. Why am I choosing this card? And again, the facilitator of the game, I don't know why, Pearl, you keep on choosing this card, but there must be a message in it. Again, I'll ignore that. I decided to buy this card game as a gift to a friend, and we played this game 3 times. There are loads of cards. The card I chose, rose quartz. So I thought, there must be a message in this. There must be something about this. But I'm in a loving relationship. Everything's honky-dory. So why would I even worry about this card, this rose quartz card about self-love? And one day I was walking along in this organization. There was a bookshelf, and as I walked past it, a book fell on the floor. And when I picked up the book, it said, A Return to Love. I was like, what is going on around this love thing? I'm in a loving relationship. And so, I'm in a loving relationship. I feel great. Why? What is it about love? What is it about love? But I don't know about you. Every now and again in life, you start receiving signals and signs. And it's like the universe has a plan. It's time for something new, time for a shift. And I don't know about you, but what I realized is that I was resisting all the signs that were coming through about love. I kept on looking outside of me, constantly. You heard what I said? I'm in a loving relationship. I kept on, every time I heard the word love, I thought outside of me. I always thought about somebody else's love. It hadn't occurred to me at the time that the message was about self-love. But because everywhere I went, the word love kept on popping up. All you need is love. It's just like, what is... All right, I'm going to have to look at this. Now, I had also started attending the Brahma Kumaris in Willesden Global Corporation House. And I had realized that certain, should I say, shifts, things were happening to me as I meditated and I practiced this Raj Yoga meditation. So I don't think it was by fluke that the two were happening simultaneously, because I don't know about you and meditation, but I find that meditation has a habit of clearing out, bringing up all the gunk, giving us an opportunity to transform things. So when I look back, I go, it's no fluke that I was having these experiences. Because once when I was at an event, this wonderful singer, Lucinda Drayton, was singing 100,000 Angels, and thankfully the lights were dim, and I was sitting in the corner. And as she sang, I could feel my heart, and tears started rolling down my face. And I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to see that I'm crying. Why am I crying? There's all this stuff going on with me. And it's just like my soul was just like, ah. And I thought, okay, enough resistance, enough pretending that I don't know something's going on here. So I don't know about you, but have you ever been in a situation where there are lots of signs and signals, but you're not ready to look? You're not ready to tap into the power. I love the power to face. So I really wasn't ready to face anything, but I thought I didn't have much choice in the end. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go on this journey of self-love, and I'm going to see what it means, all this love business. Well, it was really interesting because I opened myself up to the concept of perhaps not loving myself. That was the thought. What if you're convinced that you love yourself, but what if you don't? And that really blew my mind. I was like, but I do. And it was like, but do you? So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to explore this. What was really interesting was as I continued to ask myself the question, do you love yourself, Pearl? Do you love yourself, Pearl? I started getting this not so great feeling inside. A sort of a niggle, a sort of a, do you really love yourself, Pearl? And as I continued to explore this, as I started to witness my behaviors, my responses to people, my attachments to people and things, I started realizing that perhaps there wasn't as much self-love as I thought, and that I was being given a new opportunity to explore self-love on another level. Now, I used to be a dancer, and we had beginners, all these different levels, beginners, move up to elementary, intermediate, advanced professional. And it was very clear that I was at the beginner's level of exploring self-love. But I allowed myself to. I thought I deserved it. It's interesting when you go on this journey, right? I hear through the teachings the expression divine intellect, and I love that. Like, those two words together make me go, wow. Divine intellect is when you give yourself permission to start exploring things on a more deeper level, on a more spiritual level, how your divine intellect opens up and you literally start having these awarenesses that you've never had before. And so that's what started happening. I gave myself permission, and I don't know how many times you give yourself permission. You say, you know what? Don't really know what's going on, but I know I need to give myself permission to explore this. And so as I explored it, I started realizing that actually what I considered to be self-love was a self-love that I had learned. It was a version of somebody else's version of how self-love was expressed through me. I started to realize that actually it wasn't mine. What I understood as self-love wasn't real. It wasn't my truth. It wasn't my version of self-love, which was quite a shock. So then the journey was, okay, that's the beginner's level. Now that you understand that, let's shift you up to elementary. So what is your version of self-love? What does self-love mean to you? And that's when I wish I had run away. But I did not. And I went on quite a journey. Washing machine. Imagine washing machine and tumble dryer all going at the same time. That's what the experience was like. I felt most of the time that I was on the floor, crying and howling, this time not laughing, literally in tears, so often, couldn't work out what was going on with me. All this stuff was unfolding, all this gunk was, oh my gosh, there was so much going on. And that I realized that I was in my, would have been in my 30s or something? Anyway, it was quite a while that I'd been carrying a version of self-love that didn't belong to me. And so I decided I had to carry on in this way. I had to, for me. So when we say in the title, is self-love selfish? I would say I had to selfishly look at self-love. Because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be of use to anyone. That's what I realized. Because all my responses was based on approval of others, you know, or I did things for others, because it's lovely to do that from a place of love. But I remembered, you know, I realized that there were attachments to that. So if somebody didn't respond in a particular way to something, I would, how dare they? Don't they know I'm offering to them? You know, there were like attachments and things. And so I thought, okay, if I'm going to show up in the grandest version of who I am, I effectively have to selfishly look at self-love. I have to see what love means to me, my version. And I have to trust that there's going to be a time when I will completely get that this is my version and not somebody else's. So again, I say to you at this point, just take a moment and consider your version of self-love. Just a moment. Say to yourself, I love myself. See what that brings up for you. Repeat it a few times. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And what does that bring for you? Any thoughts? Feelings? Something in your body, a sensation in your body? Is it something that you feel at ease with? Or is there a niggle? I love myself. See, I realized there are lots of niggles. There were many niggles. So I had to understand what those niggles were. And so how was I able to explore this? Welcome. How was I able to explore this? What were the tools that I used? Now we're all uniquely, specially different and individual. And so we all have to find our own way. Remember I said I'd just started practicing Raj Yoga. And so I was experiencing an openness, shall we say, that I'd never experienced before. And when I say that, what do I mean? More open to being aware, more sensitive to what was mine and what wasn't mine. I often say, whose dance am I dancing to? Because I love to dance. You know, like, whose tune is this? Is it mine or somebody else's? And so for me, Raj Yoga was the answer. And dancing in my kitchen. That too. To let go of all the tension. But Raj Yoga was the answer. Because it was by no coincidence that as I started the Raj Yoga journey, I started having these experiences around love and self-love. And what it taught me was there was a lot of childhood stuff that I hadn't resolved. Teenage stuff, you know, all versions of us, baby, childhood, teenage, you know, 20-something-year-old, 30, going through all the decades, that there was all this stuff that I had learned and believed to be mine, and it wasn't. And I've been carrying it for years, so it's really, 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 really difficult to let it go. It was so difficult to let it go. And I thought, well, what have I got? I've got Raj Yoga meditation. Okay, so what does that mean? And for me personally, and for those of you who are here, I'm going to assume that you're in this space because you're practicing meditation or you're interested in meditation. And for those of you who are online, that you are already in this space, or maybe you're thinking of exploring more of a meditation type lifestyle. What I found is that what meditation did for me was help me to see my truth, to have the courage to face my truth. Because when you realize your truth is not the truth that you thought that it was, and that your truth is very different from the version other people have given you, now there's a conflict. What are you going to do about it? And I had to ask myself, what am I going to do about it? So I decided there was only one thing, and it's become very selfish, very self-centered in a very healthy way, because I just knew that in order to show up in the truth of who I am, in the love of who I am, it was ubiquitous. I love that word. Absolutely essential, because that's the only way I could be of service to anyone else. That's the only way I can communicate. You know, right now I'm working with certain words. Determination. That's my word right now. Very much determined to stay focused on my self-love. Because as much as it was painful in so many ways, it's the best thing that I've ever done. Because you know what? It means I show up and I can be in relationships and I want nothing. I want nothing. I want nothing. Isn't that the best gift? The best thing you can give to someone when you want nothing but to be? You're not expecting very much. It's a beautiful way to be. So for me, exploring this self-love, subject of self-love, made me realize that actually, in order to be part of this wonderful community, in order to contribute, be part of this wonderful community, then I need to make sure that I am grounded in self-love. Because when I'm not grounded in self-love, I don't behave very well. Stuff happens. I say things that I regret and then have to go back and undo them. But that's the great thing about when you're secure in it. You know, you pick it up and you go, that's okay. I can now go and say, you know, I said this, or you know, I did that. Well, so the self-love subject, as painful as it started, has taught me it's the best thing, best contribution ever I could make to society is by showing up in my self-love. And I don't know how that feels for you. But that's something to maybe explore, that the more you are grounded in self-love, the more you have to offer of yourself. That's what I found. So my version was Raj Yoga meditation, which is why I'm here, and it's great to speak on this. And I went through many levels, like I said, beginners, elementary, intermediate, and they all brought their challenges and their wonderfulness. And so where am I with it today? Have I reached? Yay! I love myself, and everything's hunky-dory. Well, no, because life is a journey, and it's never ending. But what I would say is that I would like to say that I'm at an advanced professional stage. Ooh, that's quite a big one. And I'm able to say this because, remember I said to you earlier on the expression divine intellect? that I really love. It means, clarity comes much more quickly. Things have changed, whereas before it take me months, years to work through stuff. It's much faster now, So, if something's struggling for me, it turns like that now. I'm like, wow, what? How? Goodness me, that's amazing. And also what I'm finding is that through the teachings of the Brahma Kumaris, that I'm actually catching expressions that are going like, whoo. So, I was having a walk with one of my wisdom sisters from the center, and we were talking. I was going, oh my gosh, what a journey. And I was sharing some stuff with her, and she said, and isn't it great that you're equal to the Father? I said, what? What? And it literally, I say that again. You're equal to the Father, Mother. You're equal. It was just like, what? That's pretty amazing. What does that bring to you? Equal to the Father. Well, if I feel equal to the Father, and that resonates with me. By the way, I've heard that so many times over the years. It just went every time. Equal to Father, yeah. Equal to God, yeah. Yeah. On this instant, it's like, wow. Now that's self-love on another level, isn't it? Isn't it? To allow your love to go to that, your connection to go to that place, right? I'm very comfortable talking about God. I was brought up Catholic, and my mother was very strict Catholic. But I must thank her because she introduced me to God. And that works for me, and it works for a lot of my family. And my sister and I always go, God is good all the time, yeah? God is good and all this kind of stuff, and we laugh. So I'm very thankful for that. So it's very easy for me to say God, very easy. Sometimes I say universe, I just say to people, whatever your bigger picture is, whatever works for you. But for me, I'm very comfortable with God. So equal to God. Wow, isn't that a nice gift? That went straight to my heart. And the heart is love. Yeah? I'm going to work with that. I can work with that. Amazing. Equaled. So that's why I know that I'm at an advanced professional stage with the self-love. Does it mean I love myself 24/7? No. Does it mean that I love myself 24/7? Yes. Get it? Do I need to repeat that? Yes. Does that mean I love myself 24/7? No. Does that mean I love myself 24/7? Yes. That's how I choose to move forward with it. Because I have learned, despite the pain, despite all the wounds, there are many, that came through for me and will continue to, because remember, we're all going through different stages. It's about learning it's about self-compassion. We say self-love, but it's all the selves, isn't it? It's self-compassion, self-acceptance, isn't it? It's all the selves. I call them the selves that help you on your way. Yeah? It's self-kindness. It's allowing yourself to take that journey and knowing that you've made one of the most beautiful decisions that you could ever make for yourself. And it's about you and how you show up in the world. And if you show up in your truth, in your self-love, then it's like you help others to make, I was going to say you give others permission to do the same. It's not about giving, but it's like you touch. The touchings allows, inspires others to do the same as well. So, is love, self-love, selfish? Thank you. I'm liking this. What you can't see online is that some people are doing this. I mean, it's so obvious, and it says it in the blurb. How can self-love be selfish? However, I will share this with you. Sometimes it's like I'm walking on clouds. Like I'm having a worry in the world. And I will stop myself and go, what are you doing? You've got a lot to be worrying about. The voice, the old voice. You go, look, and it's like, yeah, go away. I feel completely contented and at ease. Go away. So for me, it's like watching for the old voices that come up and try to pull me away from that space. They're regular. They're like, we're in the boxing ring a lot of the time. It's like, come on. Non-violent, peaceful version. So that happens quite a lot. That's what I've noticed as well. But what I love is the expression that love is your birthright. Isn't that beautiful? Love is your birthright. Self-love is your birthright. Isn't that the best? Just take a moment. Love is your birthright. No one can take it away. It's your luxury. It's your gift. I heard a quote, love is what you were born with, and fear is what you learn here, and it's fear that takes us away from our love. Yeah? So remember, if there's one thing that you take away today, it's that love is your birthright, your inheritance, and that love is light, of the ultimate light. And that each and every one of us is a speckle of light. Yeah? Soul of light. And that we all make up the ultimate light. The light of love. Imagine us all having one big party together. Speckles of light and love, our birthright. Dancing away. Bopping away together. Yay! Love is my birthright. Love is my birth. So, I know there'll be questions. I'm hoping, I understand that there may be a question or two. Before we go to questions, just say, remind you that ask yourself these questions every now and again. Where am I on the scale of self-love today? Do we have any questions?
Many questions.
Many questions? Go for it.
Okay, so the first question is, normally when we talk about self-love and what we hear from you, people have grown up in different culture and they've got a conditional thinking and some beliefs that have been created since childhood.
Yes.
And when they realize that I have to practice self-love, and if they do something towards it, there's certain kind of guilt that comes into, like, can I really do this? Is it okay for me to do this? Because you're living in a cultural society. Will society accept it? And it's very interesting when you said that my version of self-love. But if my version of self-love is different from the society's version or the social gathering that we are in. How did you experience that dilemma or that kind of thing? If yes, and how did you cope with it?
Well, you know, it's interesting because when I started really going through this experience, both my parents had passed away, they had moved on. And so I found as part of this that making peace, I had to find a way to make peace. So in a way, I guess it was easier for me. It's not that everything was about my parents, but you know, some of it was my upbringing. The only thing I can say to you, and so it goes beyond that anyway, whatever situation where I find my version, what I understand to be my truth, to be challenged, I ask myself, am I ready to take responsibility for who I am? Actually, am I ready to take responsibility? It's scary because we're actually brought up or encouraged to not take responsibility for who we are, in my opinion. That's my experience. And you know, as a coach, I work with many people, it's the same story, right? So it takes courage. It takes courage. And sometimes I feel as though I've been going against the grain, but it's your life. You know what I love, and I'll try and make this very quick. So, you know, I said the lights, and think of the dance party of the lights, and think of here we talk about the soul being a point of light, and yeah. And the soul chooses you. How about that? How about that? Right? God, you can say God chooses you. So I can say, Pearl, that soul said, I'm looking for someone to ... Oh, there's this person. I want this person. Her name is Pearl. And this is where I want to sit. And this is where I want to be, in this body. That's a huge responsibility. And I literally think of it that way. I'm like, you know where I am in my life? Enough already. You know, I have to do what's my truth, because then I can show up in my strength and in my power. So it takes courage. The question is, are you ready to be responsible for your life? Are you going to allow others to dictate? You're going to dance to other people's tune for the rest of your life? I know what dancing to other people's tune brought to me. A lot of pain, discomfort, pretense. None of those words are high resonating words and ways of being. They're very low. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to keep it tight because I hope that answers the question. Take responsibility is you have to make a decision. Do you have the courage to take responsibility, to be in that environment, and to help them, take them on the journey with you if you choose, to help them to transition with you. This is who I am, and this is what's important to me, so I can show up in the grandest, greatest version of who I am. There must be a reason why you're here. We're all here. So why don't we find it and bring it out, you know?
Yeah, sure. So they talk about guilt, which is self-created guilt because of the previous conditional thinking.
Yeah.
And what we understand through the talk is self-love goes parallel with courage. You need a lot of courage to love yourself, but not just love yourself, but also to face. So there are different levels of courage. And courage comes with clarity. Today you can talk to us because there's a lot of clarity and you've gone through it.
Yeah.
But when you are in the process, there is not 100% clarity at that moment. And if there is no clarity, there is lack of courage as well. So could you give us some tips to get that clarity and that courage?
Okay, so, I've had many opportunities to explore this one. That's why I laugh every time I think about the fact that I'm giving this talk. Okay, so my number one, meditation, number one. My number two is journaling. So journaling is really important for me because it gets it all out of my head. So I always just write, and I literally don't do any grammatical anything. I just put the pen on the paper and I write non-stop. Doesn't make any sense, but I'm just clearing. And what I found is, for me, if I do 3 A4 sides, by the time I get to the third one, everything's clear. That's just my personal one. It could be. Sometimes depends on how intense things are.
So the question is, do you do every day?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah. If things are really intense, and I think I might not survive, then I will do it every single day. First thing, wake up, maybe meditate, and then start writing. And sometimes I don't write. I've looked back at some of these journals, and it's literally a pen doing this. There's no words. She's just scratching across the page. And then I finish, and then it might be one word at the end, and I go, ah. So it varies. It could be every day, or it could be I go into gratitude. If everything feels too much, I go right, go into gratitude. And I make myself write, every single day, maybe 10 points of gratitude every single day, sometimes morning and night, because gratitude just shifts everything.
The other question is, when you talk about my truth or my version of self-love, I think it needs a deeper level of silence to understand what is my truth. Because if I think this is my truth, but it could be the influences of many voices that I've been listening around. So how do you go to that depth of silence, stability, and discover your truth?
Okay, so all I can say is that once you discover your truth, you know your truth. What happens, I'm very intuitive, and I've come to learn that more so through this experience, through the years of exploring this. And because, maybe it's because of my dance background, I'm very much in tune with my body. So between the meditation and I think the clear online, I say it's like being online, clarity, between that, there's a feeling that I get, and I know it's my truth. I just know that it is. And then there's feelings, sensations that I have in my body, so I know it's the truth, as much as I know that it's the truth. And then I move forward with that, and sooner or later I'll know if indeed it is my truth, or if it was another version. And if it's not the truth that as much as I understood it, I will make sure I reflect and I learn. So lots of reflection, I will reflect, what's the learning from this? I thought this sense meant truth, and it brought me here. But sometimes it's uncomfortable, the truth. Truth is not always easy and nice, Truth can be really uncomfortable because you've been going against it for a while. You start to learn that bit. So you get to know yourself, allow yourself silence, stillness, walking in nature. Oh, for me, it's all about walking in nature. Whatever it is that heightens your sense of self, your truth. And then you'll start to hear it, to feel it, to understand it. And then once you get it, you learn to trust it, surrender to it, and it's all good. You just know it, but you have to go through the process to find your version.
How did you find the strength to have so much of patience?
Strength! That was another one of my words. Strength! You know what? Sometimes, when the going got really tough, I would literally go as if begging, right? Oh, please, God, give me the strength to survive this. This is too much. Too many wounds coming up. And then, like with the teachings, which is why I say I'm more like advanced profession now. It's like, stop with the begging. Strength is your birthright. What are you doing? It's here. We talk about the ocean treasure. Was it treasure chest? Treasure store. We have this amazing treasure store, right? A birthright treasure store. And it has strength, love, happiness, contentment, all those wonderful truth. It's just there. It's there. But it's just that we don't believe it's there. We don't know it's there. We've forgotten it's there. So for me, it's like reminding myself, remember, it's your birthright. Remember, it's your birthright. Remember, it already exists. You have this treasure store. It's yours to take. It's just that, I don't know about you, but often I just leave it lying there because I've forgotten it's there. Is it an easy process? No. I've learned this along the way. You know, it's trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. But once I make a decision about, I deserve it, that's what it was. You know what? I just thought I deserve it. I deserve my version of self-love. Once I've made that decision, it's like, that's it. That's my focus. Call it selfish, call it self-centered. If I'm going to be the best that I could ever be, then I have to stay focused on that. So the strength will come because I'm determined.
There are 3 questions which are a little bit similar, but I'll break them down.
Yeah.
But I'll combine 2.
Mm-hmm.
What is your definition of love? And how do you differentiate between love and attachment?
Okay. When I think of love, I think of a sensation. That's what I think. I feel it in the warmth, the oneness. If I say oneness, does that make sense? There's a oneness. It's just like a connection to source and everything. And for me, it's like a bubble, a field of goodness and love. The best feeling ever. That's the only way I can describe it. You know, and we offer that to others. You know, like we've just had Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Bring it here. Oh my gosh. To your heart. Oh my gosh. I wonder how many of us said Happy Valentine's Day to ourselves. Not many, I'm sure. So, you know, I can only describe love. We know what love, we know what love is, but when I think of love, I think of oneness and kinship and beauty and, like the best slab of cake with the biggest dollop of ice cream. I'm taking it outside. I'm making a joke. But do you know what I mean? It's just that walking in nature, being at one in the most beautiful way. It just makes me go, So for me, that's, when I'm feeling that, I'm like, that's love, connection. Yeah, and what was the other one?
How do you differentiate between
Love
love
and
and
attachment.
attachment? Because quite often when we attach to someone or something, we think we love it.
Mm-hmm.
But is that true love?
Do you know, that one's tricky. Because another word for me is detachment. I love detachment. Because detachment taught me how much I was attached. I have there are 2 sons, and I made a decision a long time ago that I will love them to bits and do everything for them to bits, and also my partner, absolutely. And I remain detached. Because if I start being attached, then I'm going to have expectations, and I'm going to squeeze them somehow, their space, their sense of who they are. And so in order to allow us all to be who we are born to be and who we are here to be, then I need to be able to serve love, be here, and I need to be able to do that because it allows space for us to be who we are born to be. So you know when you're attached, because if expectations get in the way, and then judgmental stuff, all that stuff comes in space. So for me, if you're attached, you know if you're attached. And it's, people mix them up. And I'm like, you just got to sort that one out. Yeah? You know you're being attached. Have the courage to step away, know that you can provide, you can hold a space, you can do all that you have to do and still be here and allow for space for you to be and for them to be. So.
One more.
See, there actually are people in this space.
So how do you ensure that your self-love is unconditional? So it's so easy to kind of love yourself based on the external parts of your role, whatever that may be. But that's limited and conditional.
Yeah. So love as unconditional love.
Yeah. How do you ensure yourself?
Well, I know when I've behaved in a way or expected something or done, I know when I've done that and it's been conditional because I have an expectation. So it's conditional. I expect them to do what I've, or be how I expect. Do you know what I mean? So I know that that's conditional. Unconditional is to be able to offer and go, and even if I don't like it, it's also to walk away and make sure I'm not walking away with judgmental comments. Do you know what I mean? And even if I am, at least I'm aware of it, and I can make a decision. Walk away, how important is it? You know, all the powers, power to tolerate, you know, all those, power to discern, you know, the powers have really helped me on a practical level as well. You know, because it's not, you know, it's self-love, selfish. It sounds like me, doesn't it, in a way? It can do, me. But I see it more as an I and we, if that makes sense. Right? I be in order for we to be as best as we can be. You know, does that sort of answer? I know when it's conditional. We all know when it's conditional because there's the niggle. There's the ego. There's a sense of my way or the highway. There's something around conditional. I expect this. You know, it's, the word expectation keeps on coming up as part of this, actually. It's letting go of that, you know. Am I, what's the word? Perfect in all of this? Does perfection exist in all of this? I am imperfectly perfect with all of this. You know, it's trial, it's every day, it's one step at a time and all that kind of stuff. Yeah? But I do know because I've made the commitment, once you say yes, I always say, once you say yes, get ready. You just have to say yes, get ready. It all starts coming. Yeah? Yes?
I think just to sum up, it would be you're your own Valentine, in a way.
Sorry?
You're your own Valentine.
I'm my own Valentine, yeah. Yesterday, I'll tell you, yesterday I had a really tough day. No, really. Yesterday I had, oh my gosh, yesterday was a tough day. And you know what? It's, as much as it was a difficult day, and I knew it showed up because of this talk today. Because I was sitting in the space of what self-love means, my story. It was not a great day yesterday. Did I stay in self-love? Of course I did. Just because I'm having a bad day doesn't mean my self-love goes out of the window because it's a bad day. Do I have to question what's coming up for me, what's showing up for me? Yeah, but does that mean I lose the essence of who I am and my self-love? No. No. I've worked too hard on this to do that. Do you know what I mean? So it may give the impression, if I'm giving you the impression is that I'm walking on sunshine, you know, sort of thing. No, this is real life stuff. There's a lot of stuff, external stuff, to get in the way of this self-love journey. But I've made a commitment to myself. And I'm not having anyone get in the way of that, because for many years I allowed that without knowing. So I've just made a decision. Power to decide. It's what I've decided. And I know conditional love serves nobody, doesn't serve me, causes pain, doesn't serve others. So it has to be unconditional. Unconditional is space, right? Does that make sense? It's the stuff that allows for space. Any more questions? Oh, Tam. Any more questions? No?
Just one thing. Love as a feeling, love as emotion, and love as my nature. The transition.
Yeah.
If you can explore that in meditation.
Love is a feeling. Well, I have a love. Let's say it one more time, and I'll bring it into, because I say love is a feeling. One is love is a
emotion, and love is my true nature.
Love is my true nature. Okay, so I hope you have quite a few foods for thought to inspire you today. And there's an expression that we use here as part of the teachings. And it is, being merged in the ocean of love. And so, imagine yourself on the shore, looking out into the ocean. And you look ahead, and it's never ending. You look to the right, and it's never ending. And you look to the left, and it is never ending. And the beautiful blue sky is reflecting on the sea, and the sun is sparkling. Beautiful sparkles, sparkles of light dancing on the waves of the ocean. And you have a strong feeling, a pull to step into that ocean, the ocean of love. And as you tiptoe or dive into this ocean of love, you feel the waves of love embrace you in every way. Welcome, welcome to the endless expression of love. Enjoy this natural state of being. Float and flow with the rhythms being brought to you. Lay back, experience being held, and knowing that in this present moment, here you lie in your ultimate truth, the truth of who you are, the love of who you are, the heart of who you are. And with every stroke, with every dive, with every slip beneath the water, you remind yourself that here you are, here you be, merged with the ocean of love, yours always and forever. Om Shanti.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Big round of applause for Pearl. It was fantastic, very lively. I have fallen in love with myself again.
Good.
And for all our viewers, we've got this wonderful book called 7 Myths of Love, actually. So if you're passing by Wembley High Road and you feel like dropping in, do come, explore. And I remember, Paul, you sharing about the rose quartz and the other crystals. So just for all of you, a big shout out. We've got a lot of crystals in the shop downstairs with the pendulums and chakras, and it's a lot of stuff. So when you pass by, just come in, say hello to us, and browse the shop again. So again, thank you, Pearl, for being with us today evening. Thank you to everyone. Have a good evening.